Fishing Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Darren Windle.
Yeah, welcome to the KFO show, guys. Podcast episode number 49. This is brought to you by the Windle Fishing YouTube channel. If you love kayak fishing, I have over 900 videos on the subject. And if you stop on by, make sure that you leave a comment. I do my best to kind of respond to all of those. So thank you so much. If you are not live and you're listening into the podcast, maybe you're working on your kayak, maybe you're out fishing. If you're in the south, not in the north because it's snowing right now, and I hate it. Maybe you're driving to and from work. Whatever you're doing, I'd love to hear from you. So hit me up on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. I would love to hear that you're out there. Also want to thank special shout out to our newest channel member, Lake Fork Man. Thanks, brother. If you guys are interested in supporting channel some way, head over to the join button. You can see all the different perks that are available at all different levels. Guys, I'm excited because we have a pretty sweet pipeline of guests coming up. We got Casey kayak fishing tonight. We got Nate Goodwin fishing on the 5th, Matt Fishing Mission on the 12th, Mainstream Fishing on the 19th, and then Bass Fishing HQ, which is a guy here who has a channel that's just absolutely destroying it here in Ohio. So I look forward to having him on as well. Keep in mind, this is a recorded but interactive podcast. So if you're live, interact, folks, and if you got questions or comments, throw them in here, and I'll do my best to answer them. But without further ado, let's have KC Kayak Fishing. KC stands for Kyle and Crystal. Welcome to the show. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, I want to first off, what I love to do with all my guests is kind of hear their story, right? How did you get into fishing? When? And like, why did you start recording it? And the last, I want you to kind of follow that up with how you severed your artery in your hand while working on your DIY kayak trailer build. That's really where I want this to end. Yeah, it's a good one. So I saw a video. There's blood on the inside still on the inside of your kayak build. And then I saw photos, which thank you for the warning, Crystal. That was pretty gnarly. But walk us through the story. I'd love to hear it.
Alrighty. So I've grown up fishing my whole life. My dad was really into fishing. My family on the west coast of Vancouver Island here is big anglers, saltwater anglers. So I've always kind of had that passion from a young age, I would say. And then for Crystal, it was more so when we first started dating, I think, that we got into the fishing together. And we started off as bank fishermen, fishing for bass and trout and stuff. And then slowly evolved, took her out on family's boat a couple times, and she was hooked from there, so to say. And then the kayak fishing thing, I mean, it all depends on how deep you want to get into it.
I want to go deep. This is a live show, so we'd like to go a few layers down.
I know we talked for a little bit before the show. Our stories are kind of similar with the past of how we came into kayak fishing. I guess it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I lost my dad to a massive heart attack. He ended up passing away. And it was 2 or 3 years after that, like I was in a bad place, just a dark place. And I thought like the solution was we need to buy a boat. That'll get me out of this funk. I need to buy a boat. So we're sitting in
I need a huge liability. I just need it in my life.
Yeah. So we're sitting in Ucluelet, which is our vacation spot that we go visit family every year. And sitting there thinking, and I'm up late at night one night, and I stumble across a YouTube video of Robert Field.
Oh yeah, the Marlin video.
Yeah, with Adam
Oh,
Fisk. And
classic.
It was goosebumps. Yeah. From then on, it was, we're buying kayaks. And she didn't know what the hell I was talking about.
Well, he showed me the video and said, we're doing this. And I said, what? And I thought he was a little bit crazy at first. And so he decided he's going to the store. He's putting an order in on these kayaks. And I was like, all right, I'm rolling with this. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm rolling with it.
Okay.
I love kayaking. I'd never tried fishing from a kayak, but I love kayaking. So I'm like, you know what? We'll try it. And yeah, it went from there.
Yeah. And when we did get the kayaks, there was no intention of starting a YouTube channel. I didn't even have an Instagram or a Facebook account. Like, I was not into social media at all. And slowly but surely we realized within our first season, maybe season and a half, of how much time we were spending on the beach and the boat launches talking to people.
Right.
About the boats, about the gear, about everything. And it was kind of like a light bulb went off in our head. Like, there's something here, especially with the husband and wife aspect of it.
Well,
the duo.
Yeah.
I was like, you should start a YouTube channel. And he was like, actually, we should. And I was like, oh, I was just kidding.
Yes. Joke. Don't actually want to do that.
Yeah.
So then I noticed like there was a turn in my mental health from starting the kayak fishing and then diving into YouTube and communicating and interacting with people that I've never met and stuff. It definitely totally changed my mindset around my situation with losing my dad. Yeah. 100%.
And we realized too that I think for any couple, especially when you have a young family and you've got all the demands and work, that having something just for you, and especially as a couple, is really important. Something that you can bond over, that you're both passionate about. If you can find that, I think it's an amazing tool for your marriage too. That whole self-care thing is important, but especially as a couple as well.
Yeah, you don't see. I mean, how many other dynamic kayak fishing duos are there out there? I mean, you guys would probably know. Are there any?
I mean, not that I know.
Not that we've come across. No.
Okay. If you happen to be listening in and you know of another couple who does this and has a YouTube channel around it, not just fishes together. I know there's a lot of those, but actually like do this together as the thing, content creators. Throw that in the comments. I'm curious. As you guys were talking, I remember the moment where I realized it was a long time ago that there are fishing specific kayaks. And that moment, I just remember just being so joyful in that moment. Like, really? I always thought of them as recreation, and wow, there's a world out here. And I always see that in people's eyes as I can, as you can hear people, especially on the lake, and they might be 100 yards and they're on the dock. You can hear exactly what they're saying because their voice travels so easily. And you hear them talking about your kayak. You're like, oh, I didn't realize. And they're talking about your pedal kayak. And it's almost like they're having that same eye-opening experience that you had years ago when you got yours and fell in love with it. And you also mentioned, I think it's really important and kind of segues to really great for your marriage. It's because you guys you got a fleet of children. You got 4 of them.
We're one short of a lineup for hockey.
Yeah, there you go.
Got 4.
Yeah, and our last was twins, and that was a journey. It wasn't easy. They're 5 now, but yeah, it was hard.
So when I think of like 4 or 5 kids, all I think of is each one has to have their own fishing kayak, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna have a fleet. You need your own like building for them.
Yeah, they're super into it. They love watching the videos and stuff that we put up, and it's been great bonding with our kids over the fishing. It's so much fun just to sit there and talk fish with them and talk about the kayaks, and even just filleting the fish when we bring them home. They're always, can we poke the eyeballs? And
yeah, they have their own little kayaks, and they just rally around in the bay there. But they're always talking, oh, I'm going to put a fishing rod on mine, and can I have a net, Dad? And so it's pretty fun to watch.
Oh, love it. I got a few comments here from those listening in. Boz and Bates. You remember your power cord this week? Yes, Ozen, it is in. In the middle of the show, I had asked fishing with Gramps last week. Hey, can you take over for me?
Yeah, I
While I
saw
go
that.
find my power cord. Cooler Lid AP 120 must came on a little late. Who are these lovely folks? And you haven't shared where you're from and kind of where you fish, because we're going to get in that detail in a moment.
Yeah, so we're Casey Kayak Fishing. I'm Kyle, that's Crystal, and we're on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. Strictly saltwater fishing. Right now, we started off freshwater fishing. I don't really know why we didn't go back to freshwater fishing when it came to the kayaks, but the only time our kayaks have seen freshwater is when we were practicing flipping them in the lake, and that's it. They haven't been in the freshwater since, so I think we might have to make an appearance in the freshwater again.
Heck yeah.
I think we just got hooked on it. Like, it wasn't intentional, like, oh, we're only going to do saltwater, but we love nature. We love the ocean. We're surrounded by it here on an island. So it was natural that we were drawn to starting off in the ocean with our kayaks. And then we love it so much. We haven't tried anything else yet, but
yeah,
we've been discussing branching out and trying some winter fishing and getting out there on the lakes and that. So
it's adrenaline too. Definitely adrenaline on the ocean.
Oh, I bet, because weather and all that stuff is a whole nother level. Yeah. It's not like, hey, I flipped my kayak, I can just pull it 30 yards over the bank. It's we'll talk about I want to dive into the nuances of saltwater fishing in a little bit. Bucktail fishing, in the context of our earlier conversation, he hears all the time, his kayak's like a bicycle. all the time. I love it. All right, let's hop into it doesn't matter if you freshwater fish, doesn't matter if you saltwater fish. Tell us about the boats you guys have, your yaks, and walk us through kind of what you love about it, some nuances you're like, oh man, because there's no perfect kayak. What you wish you could change, or what you plan on upgrading to. Do you both have the same boat? That'd be super cute if you guys did. But
we do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. You got twins.
Color.
Love it. All right, hit me with what you guys got.
Yeah, so we got we decided to go with the Old Town Sportsman PDL 120s. And the main reason for that is there's not too many other dealers on the island, Vancouver Island, where we live. So it just kind of made sense for warranty purposes and to pick them up and stuff. It was a lot easier.
Okay.
And the 120 we weren't so sure about for offshore. Like, we put our order in for the two 120s, and then we said, okay, let's go get a couple big waters when they come in, because they're going to have extra boats. And apparently they were all spoken for, and as it turns out, they weren't spoken for, but we already took our 120s and took off into the sunset. And we love them for offshore. Like, when we're trolling salmon and stuff, we're not covering huge distances of water. We're in world-class fishing a couple 100 yards off of shore. And even when we're trolling salmon, it's 1.5, 2 miles an hour. Like, we don't really need the big water, like, necessarily. Right. And it's a lot heavier. So I'm glad we went with the 120s. Definitely. Nice.
So what's your setups on those? Your power, kind of your nuances? Because you guys run different trolling rod holders and stuff like that, because your setup is completely different.
Yeah. So we run Scotty rod holders, which basically come in front of us from the right-hand side, and they're going across our body. And then we have a downrigger off the left-hand side, and our lines will be attached to the downrigger, which is just like a little hand crank winch. I don't know how much you guys know about
I salmon fish in Lake Michigan for camping, so I'm familiar.
So we run 5 and 6 pound balls on a Scotty lake troller, which
it's only recommended for 4, but we push it a bit.
Got to get deep. But and for power, like, it's a very basic setup. It looks like a lot, but there really isn't a whole lot going on there. It's we recently just partnered up with Dakota Lithium, so we're running Dakota 10 amp hour or 12 volt 10 amp hour batteries, and then for our GoPros it's just a Power Box 10 in the hatch. Simple. We're running Garmin Striker 4s. Like, it's very minimalistic, even though it looks intense.
Well, because it's on a small space.
I love the Striker 4. If anybody ever asked me, hey, I'm looking for a budget entry level, or even if they share how they're fishing, like, for you guys, you're just looking at depth. You're not trying to track fish at 70 feet. So that makes sense for what you guys are doing there.
Well, and they're
Dakota
so
Lithium.
small.
I'm looking for a battery right now because I just picked up on a Black Friday deal the
Ooh.
Newport Vessels NK180.
Nice.
So I have a pedal drive as well. I love pedal driven fishing. I probably will never stop that, but there are places and there's some lakes around here that are so large, I never get to fish the back sides of them because I don't have the time to get back there, except maybe once or
Right.
twice a year, and that's where I want to be a lot of the time. So, I'm goofing around with the idea of making a battery, and it's possible. And so I'm working with my brother, who's an engineer, to see if I can put one together. That's that LiFePO lithium phosphates, iron phosphate batteries. So stay tuned. There might be a video coming out how you can make your own for probably half the price. But Dakota Lithium is like the standard and really great batteries. So
They're
good choice
awesome.
there. And you're working with them. So that's also
Yeah.
nice. We'll talk about sponsorships here. Maybe we'll circle back to that. We never got around to how you severed your artery and blood went all over the inside of your kayak. What you tried to
So I'll
skirt
tell
that.
this
Yeah,
story.
she can. I'll show the. I don't know if the scars.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, there's the scar.
Yeah, it's nasty.
She can tell the story. It's
So he was making
embarrassing.
a rod holder for the trailer, and his mom was visiting my mother-in-law, and you have kids, right? You know that sound when they spill a cup of juice, and you're like, you hear the sound, you turn, and you're like, oh, you guys. Well, I'm sitting there watching the news, and he's behind me in our dining room, and I hear that noise. It sounds like someone dumped a thing of water, and I look, and I'm not kidding you. It was blood just pouring off the table onto the floor, and he's holding his hand and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, I don't know, it's bad, it's really bad. And I'm like, yeah, it's bad. And his mom is like screaming in hysterics, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And so we realized very quickly that the bleeding was not controlled. And so I'm like, this is a 911 call, guys. And luckily our kids had just gone downstairs to our TV room, so they were oblivious. They were downstairs. So I called 911, and the 911 operator, I don't think, understood the severity, because she's like, well, what happened? And I said he cut his hand with an X-Acto knife, but it's really
That's
deep
an
and
X-Acto knife.
and it's bleeding a lot. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, well, can you just tell him to take his hand off and take a look? I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. So he did, and it like literally projectile shot all over our wall. And then my mother-in-law starts screaming again. And
It's
Kyle
probably
was the
helping the
calmest.
context of the 911 operator. It's like, okay, they're
Yes.
screaming.
And Kyle was the calmest one. He's like, you guys, it's like fine, as he's turning ghost white. So anyway, yes, the ambulance came. I followed behind the ambulance to the hospital, and he got taken care of there. It was, we were there a long time. It was a long wait. They had to tourniquet his arm, do a tourniquet. And the most horrible part for Kyle, I think, was the tourniquet wasn't working.
Oh.
And so she actually was like, okay, I need you to take a deep, deep breath. I have to pinch your artery with my hand. And so she literally like reached in there and pinched it.
She's up in your under your skin. Oh gosh.
Yes. And
Are you
Kyle,
feeling all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I turned down painkillers just because I have a little bit of a history with painkillers. So I said I wanted to be Mr. Tough Guy. Like, no, it's fine. Let's just get the freezing. And yeah, they couldn't freeze it until they controlled the bleeding. So yeah, she shoved her hand inside my hand and grabbed my artery.
That sounds the biggest question, how does it affect your fishing, or is it like your offhand?
No, I missed every tendon. I just hit the artery. Like, it's completely fine. It's numb on top. Like, there's some nerve stuff there, but it's fine.
Thank goodness.
And that's my reeling hand too. So that really would have sucked, but
that's wild. Walk me through, like, I thought you had a saw because you're making rod holders. What were you doing with an X-Acto knife?
Yeah, so I just built these rod holders and I lined the inside of the holes with foam. And then I realized that I didn't really need the whole thing lined with foam because it was just too hard to get in and out of the hole. So then I was going to slice the top part of the foam off. So I'm holding, I don't know if you can see that. I'm holding the rod holder like that and slicing up to cut the foam and watching TV at the same time. And it just,
I think you got complacent because it was like near the end of the day. He'd been doing it all day and he was tired. And our son had just been up there and was like, Daddy, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm making this rod holder. And he's like, whenever you use a knife, be careful. And then it was like literally minutes later that he cut his artery.
Yeah.
So
yeah, always cut towards yourself and up, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Lesson learned too late.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I got some comments over here from those listening in. Lost in Tackle. KC, you ever have any sea life think that your kayak is food? Yeah. What do you guys deal with, like, with wildlife up there? Because we've all seen the videos. People are kayaking and like these whales are like breaching next to or swallowing up kayakers. It's crazy. We can never get them out of our head. I know that's like once in a lifetime stuff, but do you think sharks? What are you guys dealing with?
we've had whales.
Yeah, like gray and humpback whales, we'll see them off in the distance, and you can hear them before, like if they're jumping around and stuff most of the time before they're underneath you. So we kind of keep an eye out and see if they're starting to come towards us. It's amazing. Head the other way.
It's beautiful. I love seeing them, but it is a little nerve-wracking because when they go down for a while, and you don't know when and where they're going to pop up. So it's a little bit of adrenaline, but yeah, I appreciate the whales so much when I do get to see them.
Yeah. Sea lions and stuff haven't really, I've had more problems with sea lions in boats than I have with the kayaks. I don't know why, but we use stringer clips and they go behind our seat. The fish never get like dragged in the water behind our boat or anything. That's just asking for trouble. I think the main problem that we have is with eagles.
Yeah.
Really?
So we have, the eagles where we fish out on the West Coast will be sitting on the rocks to the entrance to this bay, and guys come by, they feed them rockfish and stuff all the time. We always like to send the rockfish back down, but sometimes they float up or they get out of the net and they're off the hook and you got to go chase them. Well, we're battling eagles trying to let us descend our fish we don't want to find. Yeah. But for the most part, wildlife, it hasn't been an issue. We don't have sharks to worry about here, although I have heard of great whites coming this far north.
We've had jellyfish get caught on our downrigger balls and stuff, so you gotta be a little careful bringing your stuff up because you don't want to get stung. We have quite a few jellyfish species here, but yeah, so far we've been okay. We haven't had any run-ins, just the X-Acto knife.
Yeah, just yourself, your biggest oh man. Well, I want to switch gears because I saw a video that you posted, not on your YouTube channel, but one that I saw on your Facebook channel. And it's not one that you guys created, but it's one that you seem to be passionate about. It was Trudeau's plan to decimate an entire industry. I didn't listen to it because I wanted to hear it from you. But what are you I usually don't get into political stuff, but I'm interested in what you're dealing with only because that's at the authority of the highest level. So what is being introduced and what's the industry we're talking about?
Yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to the like politics of fishing and stuff. I try not to get into it, but I mean, I would definitely recommend people go give that one a listen. It's just the Liberal government's plan to destroy a whole industry. I mean, I feel bad for the sport fishing guys all over the island and the guys that run charters and stuff too, and even the guys that run their commercial boats. I mean, it's just, I think something has to be done, but there's no plan in place to really maintain the species or maintain these constant returns of salmon. I think they just think that heavy regulations and stuff will do the job when, I mean, it's all an honor system anyways. It doesn't, there's not really much checking in on everything. I think there's quite a few things that could be done differently, but yeah, we just posted that and I didn't really pay much attention to it.
No, it's interesting. I thought about watching it, didn't have time because I was working.
It's a long one.
Lunch. It's a long one. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're interested in that, head over to their page on YouTube and you can see a link to it, probably 7 or 8 posts down. Usually
that'll be the last political post that I make too.
Yeah, that's like that's like me. I don't usually like to dive into that, but when you start talking about fishing,
Trudeau doesn't care what Kyle and Crystal think anyways. So
no.
Never know. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, I had a question here from those listening in, and they said, this is a good one. Wait a second. Oh, bucktail. Ouch, my memories from working in OR are rushing back. Doing that with no painkillers. You're a boss. I love it.
I don't recommend it.
No, yeah.
Take the painkillers.
Pick up cooler lid, AP120. Here's a question for you. Have you upgraded the tracks on your old town kayaks to aluminum? And for those who were like, why would you do that? Explain kind of, I know the answer to this because I watched your video of you doing it, but explain for those why you would do that.
Yeah, so definitely we did upgrade them. We represent Pacific Yak Angler too. I'm not sure they make, if you've heard of them or not. They're a Canadian company that makes aluminum replacement tracks for the old towns.
Okay.
We got a set of theirs on our boats, and basically the problem for us, it was never like the tracks ripping out of the boat, like getting pulled completely off, because I mean, adding an aluminum track, it's still screwed into the exact same holes that it would be right if it was a plastic track. The problem was our gear getting ripped completely out through the track.
Because it's flexing too much.
Yeah, it's a plastic track, and we're running a 5-pound ball on it.
And it's just popping out on your back. Got it.
It opens up. There's a lot of force. There's a lot of tension on there. So that was a must for us. Like, I just about lost a rod. Luckily, I managed to grab it. And I mean, replacing to the aluminum ones has been the best upgrade, I think, by far.
Yeah.
That and the Navarre aluminum rudder on our boats too has made a huge difference.
Definitely.
All right.
Aluminum parts all the way.
Yeah, right. There's so many things that I wish a lot of these boats came stock with, but nonetheless, all upgrades, all fun things we can make videos about, but all expensive things, because expenses. Yeah. And you guys have it like times 2. What do you do for work? I'm curious.
I work at a pulp mill here outside in Nanaimo, BC.
What's a pulp mill?
So we basically turn wood chips into pulp that then gets turned into paper after that. Yeah.
All right.
I'm extremely fortunate to have the job that I do in this market. It pays for all of this, and I work shift work, so it's 4 on, 4 off. So I get 4 days off a week. You
also do 2 days, 2 nights, so which is not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I mean, there's harder jobs out there. It's not like I'm working a crazy hard job or anything.
So you're saying you have a couple of days a week that are, although you're tired from working back to backs like that and that long, you can go out fishing.
Yeah, midweek fishing is fun. There's not as many people to be out there with. Yeah, it's awesome.
Heck yeah. I got a question here from Fishing Adventures with Connor. Welcome. He says, what's a good pedal drive kayak that is stable, not crazy expensive? I do mostly river fishing on the Lower Columbia River. Do you guys have an opinion on this?
I mean, we can only speak from the Old Town Sportsman, like the PDL 120s, because that's the only kayak that we've used. I wouldn't recommend something to someone that I haven't tried, but I mean, they're a great boat. They're heavy. They're not as nimble. Like if you need something that can turn.
But they're stable.
They're definitely stable for sure. That primary stability.
Yeah. This is a great question, Connor. However, for myself, I've had a couple kayaks pedal drive, but neither of which I would recommend for river. Depends on your depth in your river. Are you talking like shallow? Are you talking, deep and slow moving rivers? Then it's hard to give a recommendation when I'm not entirely sure how you're fishing it. But I just did a video how I believe the Bonafide P127 is one of the most underrated pedal drive kayaks out there today when it comes to stability. It's not crazy expensive. It's not cheap either. I mean, you get what you pay for. But anyways, great question. If you are listening in and you're like, hey, I got a recommendation, throw that in the comments. So this is the beauty of having a live show and have a lot of people coming in live, that you just don't have to hear our opinions. You can hear others who may have a kayak and may be perfect for you. So thank you so much for that question. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk through, just really quick, I'm curious your video setup. How do you guys setting this up? Do you run dual cameras, single cameras? Well, you have 2 cameras because it's 2 of you.
Yeah, it started out just with the GoPro Hero 9. Like that's how we started out. One joking. Camera. Yeah, like that whole joke, like let's start a YouTube channel. And then
I bought it for his birthday. So
there you go.
She started this whole thing. So yeah, we started out with the GoPro Hero 9, and it was great, but of course you need to upgrade stuff, and there's so many fun toys that you can get for it. So we did external mics and media mods, and
and we had the one camera to start, and then what was happening is I would be, drifting off doing my thing, and I'd get a big fish on, and then he told me, like, if you get one on, tell me and I'll come over. And I'd be like so in the moment that I'd forget to tell him. I'd just be like, oh yeah, fighting this fish, and I'd be like, oh yeah, Kyle, come here, and then he'd come and I'd already have it in the boat. And then he was like, we need to get you your own GoPro. This is crazy. You're catching some good fish here. We need to get you on camera. So then this was the first season we just had where I had my own GoPro, which was fun. It was really fun.
So who edits all the videos? Because you almost got like that's a lot of it.
Yeah. With 4 kids, I would never have the time, to be honest. Kyle's job, if you want to explain, he is very lucky that he can do it all at work.
Oh, chill out. He can't say that.
Well, not
anymore.
All of it, but
thanks.
Most.
No one's really supposed to know that. I don't.
Post
Everyone knows that.
Yeah. No, this is live. Can we edit this out? Yeah.
Love it. Oh, you got those listening in. They run GoPro 8s. What's we got here? Bucktail. I have a GoPro 8 black. The wife lady. The wife lady gave me the wedding gift. Now I just need to use it. Kind of like my fish finder. I hear you, man. I got a nice fish finder. I'm getting ready to do some videos on it, but digs. I still run a GoPro 5. Old school.
They're all still good though.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, I mean, you could get wild and crazy. For those of you, and let us know if you're listening in, if you've always tinkered with the idea as I want to start a YouTube channel and start videoing us, but haven't done it yet. Let us know. I'm just curious how many there are of you, because I waited way too long before actually starting mine. I mean, I think I thought about it for a year and a half, and man, I wish I would have pulled the trigger a whole lot earlier.
Yeah.
But best time to plant a tree 10 years ago. Next best time is right now. So all right, let us know in the comments if that's you, if you've been tinkering around with it, or maybe start it. If you got we got a couple comments popping in here. Bucktail, that's me, that's him. I love it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next question here. Let's talk a little specific to the types of fish that you target. I think it's a lot of fun. So what does targeting salmon look like from a kayak? Lingcod from a kayak, rockfish, and PBs for all of those. And what's the weirdest thing you've ever caught?
You want to take your lingcod? She's the lingcod queen. So
all right.
Yeah. So the lingcod are my favorite fish to catch. They just have a lot of fight in them. And sometimes we do the vertical jigging up and down. We usually use swim baits for that. We've used live bait as well. Or not live bait, sorry, but bait. And we've recently kind of gone more towards we use a 10-ounce swim bait.
Okay.
And the reason for that is you're not having to check your gear all the time. When you're using bait, you're constantly having to reel up, check, make sure it hasn't fallen off or the fish took it. And so I really like jigging. We also will kind of use a trolling method with the paddle tail swim baits as well. Just kind of slowly drifting it on the bottom. And that seems to work too really well with the lingcods.
How deep are you fishing?
Lings are usually
75 to 100 feet usually is what we're looking at.
And you're only a couple 100 feet offshore for these?
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends where we are. In Ucluelet, everything's fairly close. Closer to where we are in Ladysmith. Some of the spots, like that one spot we went to, we had to go out
a couple miles.
6
pedal.
7K.
You pedaled a couple miles.
We need autopilots.
Yeah.
Like you said, I love the pedals, but sometimes I do think an autopilot has its place for sure.
The only thing I don't like about autopilots, I don't want something on the front of my kayak that I have to cast around, because I skip a lot, and I just I just don't think I would like that. I barely like the camera that I have about this tall off my bow. So I'm not sure I would love that just for my fishing style. But anyways, yeah, it would be nice. That's why I got the motor. I mean, you guys could throw you could throw a stern mounted NK 180 on the back ears and go.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to lose a little weight first, but I'm right up there with the limit. right around now. Yeah, it's it gets scary when I have a 15-pound fish in the back too. It's starts sinking a little bit, but yeah.
Huh. Have you ever flipped?
No.
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 But
No.
you've practiced it, which is good.
Yeah,
I've
practiced in the
almost
lake.
flipped. I was quite close.
Oh, actually, yeah, you got your downrigger snagged on the bottom. That wasn't good.
Oh.
Yeah. We were fishing unfamiliar fishing territory. It was new. And in this one particular spot, I don't know what it was, but both of our fish finders were glitching out, like not getting a read.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was fishing in that area and I was trolling at about, I think it was about 25 feet. And then boom, the bottom came up to 15 all of a sudden. And so I got snagged, but thankfully the line snapped. So we use braided so that it's for safety, it's easier to cut and obviously break a little bit easier. So yeah, it was a bit nerve-wracking, but I learned something. Don't get too cocky in a new fishing territory. And yeah, but
All right. Now
I'm glad I didn't flip.
What are your PBs for the fish you're pulling out?
So for lingcod, my PB for length is 36.5 inches.
Okay, that's a big fish.
Yeah,
and
then
fun catch.
For weight, it was a little bit shorter, but heavier. It had
big,
a full belly. It was just shy of 20 pounds or just over 20 pounds.
That's a nice size fish from a yak. That'll take you on a little sleigh ride.
Oh yeah. And then what was she's got the biggest
was,
salmon so far. She's got horseshoes. You know where.
My salmon, did we weigh it? I think it was
17 pounds?
17 and a bit, and it was 34.25 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
How big do they get up there?
So our salmon, they can get up to 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, they're few and far between. It seems like more and more these days, but the 30 pounders are the ones that people are going for. And then northern Vancouver Island, and then you start getting up in towards Alaska territory, they can get up to like 50 pounds.
Jeez.
Those salmon. And same with the lingcod too. They can get some big lingcod up there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We always try and release the bigger ones. I always say if it's longer than our bump board, it's going back because those are the breeding fish.
Okay.
So that's always a rule that we try and stick to. Sometimes it's hard though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys don't just catch and release. This is you feed your family, right? Walk us through all that.
Yeah, so we have different seasons open. Sometimes it's non-retention, so you're allowed to go and fish for salmon, but you're not allowed to keep them. Okay. We'll never purposely go out and target fish just to release them. Every time we go out, we have every intention of keeping what we catch. So that means just fishing when they're open, abiding by the slot limits sometimes and stuff. And yeah, it feeds our family. It's expensive nowadays to feed 4 rugrats.
Yeah, and our kids love seafood. We got them started on it young, so it's a favorite in our house.
So you have deep freezers full of this stuff? Because when you guys go out there, I'm sure you slay between the two of you.
Yeah, we had a pretty good year this year. This was probably our best, but yeah, it was a full freezer.
Yeah.
Have you found that with your YouTube channel that you have become better anglers? How's that affected? Has this been your best year ever? I know personally for me, I'm sure it's different. This was my best year ever because when you do a video, you're really forced to research it more and really think through, which hones your own skills. And I just know, or it's YouTube. If you don't get it right, the people will let you know.
Yeah.
Especially anglers. And so, how's that experience been for you?
I think it helps us largely with, even when I'm going through and editing, like before I post the videos and stuff, being able to look at how I'm landing the fish or how I'm pulling the fish into the boat or just little things. Like I was jigging for lingcod, and I ended up having a salmon hit a flat fall jig at like 20 feet deep when I'm waiting for the flat fall jig to float down to 100 feet before I start jigging. And it's so obvious in the video that there's a salmon on there, but I'm just not even paying attention. I'm just letting the thing fall. I'm looking at it, and then all of a sudden it starts jumping all over the place. So yeah, it's great to be able to look back and see your mistakes and learn from them. I mean, when Crystal got her first salmon trolling, it was just a gong show.
I got way too excited, and everything Kyle taught me and told me just like went out, and I was on full adrenaline. I was just so excited. And yeah, it ended up being messy. It got caught all wrapped in my downrigger, and Kyle actually ended up hand lining my fish into his boat.
So your fish into his boat? Wait. The way
It's
I
my
see that,
fish.
yeah, it's your fish.
It became his fish. Yes.
Yeah, finders keepers.
Yeah.
But no, it's good to be able to look back and I can show her, like, so you remember when I told you to turn right and then you turned left and then you and the fish were playing chicken with each other and crossed in the downrigger. So it was a really good learning experience. And then the next time out, she was completely fine.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying I'm still learning, and I love that. Like, I think there's so much to keep learning about this sport. And I don't want to stop learning. Like, I think there's always better techniques, different techniques to try and explore as well.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I love that with any channel, a lot of the information is out there multiple times across many platforms. Like there's a million kayak fishing channels, it seems like, or there's fishing channels in general. But your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So people follow you, support you, love you, and your relationship with them. I just love that some people pick up where you're at and they're learning and enjoying the community, and others might be further down the road and they, find another channel. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I want to start a channel. And they just get kind of overwhelmed because they're like, hey, I'm not a proficient master angler. It's like, well, most people aren't. And they want to come along someone who's just a little bit further along and talking about the things that they want to learn at that particular time. So, I love it. All right, let's head over here. We got a bunch of comments come through over the past, and so let me see here. Oh yeah, when I asked the question, how many of you wanted to start a channel and haven't? New Hampshire Fishing Gal raised her hand. Trevor Wagner, yeah, that's me. I had several videos recorded but never pulled the trigger. I think we've all been there.
Do it.
Yeah, I know. Do it.
Do it.
I think the biggest thing is just getting started. Just get that first video going.
Yeah.
And it'll be horrible.
And it won't be great, but it's a starting point. And you just got to work past the doubt and the fear and put it all out there. Like when we first put our first video out, we both were like, I don't know, is this any good? Like, what are we doing?
No,
what are we doing
not.
Here? And it probably wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think getting started is the hardest part.
Yeah. No, 100%.
We're always our own biggest critics, and there will always be someone out there who finds value from what you're putting out, even if it's just that one person. Like I've learned so much from so many different channels, like yourself and Chad and Chi City Yacker and Alex. I've learned a ton from, and even all the guys in California, like Die Hard Fishing, and
even California, folks.
Yeah,
even
California, you can learn something from. Yeah, there's always something to be learned, and there's always something to be added to this game. I mean, there's tons of videos out there still waiting to be made, and it's just start.
Heck yeah. And I think it's measured expectations at first. Your first are going to be your worst, and you're only going to get 10 people to view it, and it compounds over time. And that's taxing for most people. They mostly give up after 5 or 6 videos. Like, oh great, I had 10 and now I have 30. This is not worth my time. But here I'm 3 years into it, and now videos on average can go 1,000 to, I've had some a couple 100,000. So you never know when they're going to rip, but when they do, it's fun, and it's less than that in the views and the watch time. Like at the end of the day, who cares? It's the community that you become a part of. And I met people at the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series that I've been talking to for a couple of years, and met them for the first time. Bucktail, Lost and Tackle are on the show tonight. Met a couple of weeks ago. I was like, man, that's freaking awesome. This is why, and part of the reason that making the videos and putting in all the hard work is exciting. All right, let's move on a little bit. Trevor Carnwell, K and C brought up a good point. Kayak availability is different here in Canada than in the US. Not as many options. So, hey, good job, Old Town, for getting up in there and getting that market. Cooler Lid runs a Hero 9 with a external battery pack. That's good. And let me see here. The autopilot sits really low, says Cooler Lid. You guys feel the same?
Never sat in one, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, my bad. I thought you had autopilots. That's wrong. You have the pedal drive.
No, not yet.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
all right.
Yeah, we're working
Is
on
there an
it.
upgrade?
We've been talking about it. But
Yeah.
And New Hampshire fishing gal who was on my team a couple of weeks ago for the Knucklehead, joined a little late. What's your YouTube channel? We are talking to KC Kayak Fishing, and as a fun little segue, you guys created a website, which I'm curious. Like, what was the inspiration behind that when you have a YouTube channel? So,
I have
is there
no
a vision
idea.
for that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I have a short attention span, I think, like, and I just do things because I think they'll be fun and they keep me busy. That's what a lot of this is about, is just keeping myself busy for my mental health and just staying active.
You have 4 children.
Oh yeah, they keep us busy, but that's in a different sense.
Got it.
Something for us. And it was really more for like the sponsors and affiliate marketing and stuff like that. Like we're not really super active on our website. I'd like to get more into it and start doing some blog posts and stuff like that, because you never know where you can reach someone at.
Yeah, 100%. How was your experience? I have a ton of thoughts on this recently, and this is why I'm asking the question. What's your experience with sponsors? Now, I know you have sponsors. Has it been a good experience for you? Has it been like, okay, this is somewhat frustrating? We're not pinpointing out any specific sponsor, just in general. Any thoughts on that?
All of our sponsors are absolutely fantastic to work with, and we don't just join up with anybody. Like, we've had offers from people for like a 5% discount code or something like that, and we're just not looking for free stuff. I mean, I'm very fortunate to make the money I do. We can buy all of our own tackle. This is just about starting a community with a bunch of local companies, except for Dakota. They're not local. They're in California. But I mean, we're never going to promote a product that we don't actually use on our social media. And it works great like that. Like, we're family with all of our sponsors. Like with West Coast Fishing Tackle has been absolutely phenomenal to us this season. And I can't thank them enough for everything that they've done for us. And that's how we want to keep it. We want to keep it more low key. Yeah. We're not looking to jump into a sponsorship with like Chevy or something like that. Like, it's always, but it is work. I mean, I think a lot of people get the misconception that you just get free stuff for promotion and you don't have to do anything for it. Like,
false.
It is work to sign these contracts and to put out the content, like to stick to your word. And that's something that we've always prided ourselves on, like just keeping it small so that we can kind of commit to the amount of content that we're putting out or saying that we're going to put out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Keep your expectations reasonable, because at the end of the day, it is a business. And if you're not performing, they'll bounce you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. If you don't run your YouTube as a business, it's likely not going to be successful, in my opinion. Unless you just get lucky and get some video that rips. That's a sub magnet and so forth and so on. I have some thoughts on sponsors. I'm not going to go into them right now, but just for those who follow the channel, something's been stewing and it's going to be incredibly unpopular. I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on it because I don't work for anybody. Work for myself here on YouTube. So stay tuned, those listening in, because it should be interesting. All right, let's move along. I noticed you guys had a video that said first tournament struggles. As someone who just finished up his first tournament, I am curious what your experience was. So unpack for us the struggles, I guess, what I'm looking for.
McTush?
Yeah,
McTush.
It was tough. I mean, it was a 3-day tournament. The West Coast Kayak Angler Series is a Vancouver Island based kayak event, and they travel all around Vancouver Island. And this was a spot that we had never fished before. So yeah, it's tough. There was no like pre-fishing or anything for us. We kind of just jumped right into it. And There was a ton of boats to compete with. It was
very busy on the water.
interesting to the point where I just said screw it and started cutting everyone off.
How many are we talking about?
Like not kayaks, like actual fishing boats.
Boats.
Yeah, this is when the salmon are getting close to going up the river, so they're all schooling and stuff.
I would say
staging.
at least 30 boats out there.
Yeah, probably 10 or so kayak anglers, I think 10 or 12. I mean, it was good. It was interesting. It's
I'm sure it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's different when you feel like you have to catch a fish.
When there's pressure,
yeah. So there's also the pressure for making a YouTube video, like trying to get something to put out, and then there's also the pressure to try and place
and the weather didn't cooperate.
Oh, it's a nasty weather,
nasty raining.
We're not tournament anglers.
No.
I don't think we'll be doing it again.
Really? So it kind of ruined it for you. You're like, okay.
Yeah, like it's fun to go out and talk to people and meet people and stuff that all have the same passions.
I think I'd try it again.
She'll try it again.
I'll try it.
Yeah.
There you go. You can run crew.
I'm too competitive. I get upset. And I drop too many fish for that. So it's tough.
No, I get it. I thought I wouldn't love it. However, the KBF series, which is not just a point in time, but over a month, that was a lot of fun for me. And of course, we had the tournament down at the Knucklehead. That was a lot of fun for me. So I think I'm going to end up being a tournament angler, not like hardcore, like, hey, I want to go every weekend, but having something that I can work towards. Because going into tournaments for me was, okay, I have a YouTube channel. And it's like I had nothing to place what I was doing against. So was I any good at this whole kayak fishing thing for my channel, or am I just a mediocre angler? Which is fine. It's just like to know kind of where I stand in that. So going through all the tournaments, like, okay, this is what I'm saying. Actually, I can hold my own here through fishing against other anglers, which was interesting and encouraging because I put a lot of time and effort into developing my craft. So it was nice to see that it was actually paying off in results, and not just one time, but consistently month after month. So that was good for me. So I'm excited to get into that. And I look forward to doing the Knucklehead again next year. Should be a good time.
You did pretty good for your first tournament.
Yeah, I was surprised myself. I mean, that is a ginormous world-class bass fishery.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just brought a little bit of, I think what I felt at ease when I got down there is pretty intuitive to fish for me. And the weather and the cold front that came through, I was like, this feels just like Ohio 3 weeks ago, which I knew how I was picking up then. And so I had a great week. I mean, second on the pre-fish 3 fish. And then, of course, the win and big bass was, man, am I ever going to have another tournament like that? Probably not. I should probably just stop right now if I was smart.
Retire undefeated.
Definitely hooked. Loved meeting everybody down there. But yeah, it was good. Let's switch gears a little bit. The nuances of saltwater fishing versus freshwater, because you started out freshwater, you moved to saltwater. So you got like things like communications and different degrees of safety that you can think about. What are the top 3 things that come to your mind?
I mean,
you didn't have to think about when freshwater.
Yeah, for us, I would think, especially for saltwater, for safety, PFD number 1.
Oh, 100%.
It has to be PFD. It has to be a knife on your PFD too that you never use for bleeding fish or gutting fish or anything. Like we got ours that just stays on our PFD all the time, and that way we know it's always sharp.
Is that here, a safety knife?
Yeah. Oh, did we freeze?
Yeah, he froze.
Who froze?
It looks like I froze.
Oh, there you go.
I'm back. I'm hardwired in, which is weird to me, so I apologize for that.
Might have been us too. I don't know. We're on.
No,
Wi-Fi.
It was me. I circled out, and I'm showing low Wi-Fi. Anyways, keep going. I asked you if you talk about safety nights, the NRS.
Yeah, so like something with a blunt tip that you can slide in only sharp on one side, kind of deal, in case like we run downriggers. So obviously, if you get tangled up in one of those, that would not be a good day.
No.
Also for us too, like I don't know. I think number 2 would probably be in the wintertime, like we're fishing now, in some pretty cold temperatures. Like we're 46-degree water temperature and stuff in the wintertime here. Dry suits are definitely a must. Crystal has an NRS dry suit. I have a Mustang.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah, definitely. But what's your life worth, really? I guess
No, I hear you. I mean, what you guys are
worth
doing.
$1,000. Like I've gone out in the wintertime, and even when it is springtime and it's colder, like I don't want to wear a dry suit. They're hot. They suck. I mean, it's it's not fun. Then I get blown up online all the time for not wearing one. But I mean, it definitely will help save your life if you get into a situation where you're in the water.
Yeah.
And then I think number 3 is cell phone.
And letting people know. We have an app that we use. It's called the 360 app. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, no.
But we always tell people verbally where we are going, roughly, which beach we're launching from, how far we plan on going out. And we also always check the weather conditions, the wind forecast, the tides, all that before we go out. And if that's all good, we just make sure we communicate and tell someone where we're going. And then we have the 360 app, which it does work out on the water in most of our fishing ground spots. So if Kyle, say, goes out by himself, I can literally see him on the GPS and see where he is. So if he's drifting out to China, I'm like, okay, I need to call the Coast Guard. Or if he hasn't moved for a really long time, then I know something's up. That sort of thing. It's just another little level of safety.
And we do carry
VHF. Okay, I was going to ask. Yeah,
we carry VHF radio too, or we have one between the two of us, just in case anything happens. We can get in touch with the Coast Guard. And the biggest thing is just staying within your limits. I think, like, if the water looks bad and it looks rough, it probably is. So it's better just to stay off. I've driven an hour before to go fish, taken a look at the water and turned around and went home. Just because the weather report was wrong, or I didn't feel like getting wet that day and flipping. So, I mean, the fish will be there another day.
Yeah. If you don't feel comfortable, it's not worth it.
No. Yeah.
Being 100%. On the water and being nervous is a terrible feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So just save yourself the headache and don't go out.
Yeah. When it happens fast. Having that self-awareness, live to fish another day. Yeah. I mean, that's a video, guys, right there.
Yeah.
We're just going through all kinds of video ideas right here. Diggs Outdoors, he says, I have 3 VHF radios. One is in the same model that I have. I did a video on this. I forget what it was called. Something. All I remember is the thumbnail where I had a big tombstone sitting on my kayak.
Oh, God.
Basically 11 kayak fishing mistakes that could take your life or something like that. So safety's key. I hate people send it to me all the time. Like, oh, did you hear about this? You see this? Father, son, go out kayak fishing. Don't come back. Wasn't wearing a PFD. Same story. It's always wasn't wearing a personal flotation device. And it's sad. And, doesn't have to be.
There's usually a couple here that happens to a couple people every year, and don't be that person.
Mm-hmm. The ripple effect of that pain lasts for a long time. All right, look at this. We're 10 seconds away from an hour. I told you this would go fast. I got a couple more questions for you. 2 questions. We'll start with one that kind of has a negative overtone. I saw in one of your shorts that sounds like you're getting some troll comments. Hey, no one wants to watch that. What a waste of money. Buy a real boat. So if you're going to start a YouTube channel, be prepared for this because it comes in, and sometimes it's hard early on. Eventually you develop a thick skin. You're like, I don't even care. You guys aren't even worth my time, effort. I'm not even going to respond. But walk me through. It looks like this is a way that you helped cope with it, because I liked it, because the short was you named those 3 things and you picked up this giant salmon. You're like, ha, ha, ha. So how's that experience been for you?
I mean, I think it was Mike Tyson said it best. Like, social media is
Mike Tyson quote. All right, here we go.
Social media has given people, I don't want to get this quote wrong,
it's
but
the
social media
quote. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It's given people an outlet to say whatever they want without having to worry about getting punched in the face. And I think it's true. Like, we get some troll comments here and there. And I mean, it's all fun and games. Like, I could care less. I'll engage with it sometimes if I feel like boosting our engagement a little bit and dismantling some trolls. But I mean, at the end of the day, they can say whatever they want to say. It doesn't affect us at all. I mean, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. The funniest is, why don't you buy a boat? Like,
yes, we get that all the time.
it's so
Really?
frustrating, because we were going to buy a boat, and if people watch our YouTube videos, we've explained that.
Yeah.
But we were shopping for boats before and then I found Rob's video on the Marlin with Adam Fisk there, and it was, we prefer this way of fishing.
Yes.
I mean, we got 2 kayaks, a kayak trailer. Like, if we wanted a boat, we'd have a boat. And I think people need to just keep their mouths shut sometimes.
I created a video in response. I got that. Everybody, if you're a kayak angler, you get that comment a lot. So anytime I was like, I'm just going to create a video. It's called 18 Reasons Kayak Fishing Destroys Boat Fishing. And anytime there was mix that comment, I just take the link and I shove it in there. And that's my only response. And so I would just say I've used that quite a bit over the past years. Now, I will say I've noticed this for my personal channel. Early on, you get a lot of trolls. But as you start moving to like 20 and where I'm at now, like 31,000, I don't get them much anymore.
No.
It's really bizarre. And so there's probably some psychological reasons why that happens. But I mean, why don't we get a boat? Dan says, because kayaks are so much more fun. 100%, Dan.
They are.
100%.
There's a couple other comments in here, but I'm not going to read through them. But yeah, it's there's nothing like kayak fishing. All right, I got another question for you guys. I'm just curious about this. Since you catch and cook, what is your favorite way? Because I love salmon. I go fishing on Lake Michigan for salmon. We flay them up. Freaking delicious. Love it. What's your favorite recipe on cooking those bad boys?
Poke bowls? Is that what you
For salmon?
For salmon?
I mean, we could do poke bowls with salmon. I think that
there's a lot of good recipes for salmon.
We just tried that. I mean, we didn't use sushi grade salmon or sashimi grade salmon. It was just a regular old king salmon. But we actually ended up frying it, and it was just a light, quick fry. Basically,
katsu?
That sashimi
katsu salmon.
We did a video on it. It was unbelievable.
All right.
Yeah. It's almost like the equivalent of like a beef Wellington, but salmon, if you can
what?
imagine that. Yeah,
you got me hooked now.
Yeah, it was really good. And also, we just started pickling salmon too.
What the what?
Yes.
It
what?
sounds.
I've never heard that in my entire life.
It's a good way to get rid of old fish. I think I had a.
I did see that video. Got it.
3-year-old coho salmon that was in a garbage bag in the freezer, and I pulled it out and pickled it, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, so that's definitely a new favorite.
Our kids love it too. Like, we go through a jar in a day.
Yeah.
So for your freezer burnt fish, pickle it is what you're 100%. Saying.
Pickle or smoke, I think.
Whatever keeps the focus off the freezer burn.
The freezer burn, yeah, exactly. No one will ever know.
Oh, I love it. I don't know how you got your kids to love pickled fish, but I tip my hat to you. I'm not sure.
Lots of sugar.
I mean, yeah, right. All right. What else? Last question here for you. Let me see. Oh, I saw a video. I didn't watch it, but there's a title in there. You got fined. Did you get fined for fishing, or were you fishing? You got fined for something else?
It's kind of a little bit of both. So we park our trailer in a parking lot on the West Coast in Ucluelet when we do our salmon fishing in the summer. And
the blood trailer.
Yeah. So someone thought we were running a kayak charter out of the fishing trailer because it just says KC Kayak Fishing on the side. There's no phone number. There's no email address. It just has our logo. Now I guess she was a little bit pissed off that she couldn't park her car there to go walk her dog off leash on the beach, which is also illegal there. While we're on the topic. So she called bylaw, and bylaw officer or whoever is in charge of the business licenses in the town.
Oh, and she went
she went hard. And gave us a $365 ticket for not having a business license. And we were out on the water fishing, so we had no idea, but my mom brought the kiddos down to the beach to meet us, and she called me when I was out on the water and said, "You got a ticket, it's on your truck windshield." And then I had to do a lot of editing. There was a lot of I lost my mind.
Seems like a bit of overreach to just be throwing out tickets on what you perceive to be a business that you're not even viewing is.
Yeah, there was a lot of people too that commented on that video that said, well, you have a YouTube channel, so technically that's a business. And I'm like, do we have to get a business license for every single town that we film in? Like that can't be right. So yeah, they ended up taking
they revoked
the
yeah.
ticket after.
I think the person felt a little bit sheepish after we explained that we're just
Not
a husband and wife team. We just film our fishing. And she was like, oh, okay. I guess the person who reported it had said that she saw us go out with like 8 other kayak anglers, but it was us and 2 other fellows that we met at the beach, and they also had their kayaks ready to launch into the water. And we were just kind of chatting with them before we all went our ways. So she just, I guess, assumed that we were running a charter of some kind. Yeah,
it was definitely interesting, but they took the ticket away. That thumbnail was a bit clickbaity, I think.
Hey, if you deliver on what it says,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
we definitely got fined.
You got fined.
Yeah,
and it was that stuff like that irritates the crap out of me. Maybe it's just my worldview, but drives me nuts when people meddle. And it's not technically a business because you're not at 1,000 subs yet, so you haven't monetized your channel. You're close. Exactly. You might be after the show because I keep getting people saying that they subbed to you, and you guys are like 998. It seems like, and
we're so close, guys.
I see a couple in here that have said they've already subscribed to you guys. So, are you close to monetization?
Yeah, I think we're. I mean,
on the hours or the subs.
With the subs, we're really close, and the hours we got about 500 to go. Something
okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know and don't have a channel, you have to have 4,000 watch hours within a given year rolling, and 1,000 subscribers. So you guys are on the precipice of being able to monetize. But so congratulations. That's a lot of work. A lot of work.
We're hoping, but I mean, at the end of the day, we do this because it's fun.
We're having fun.
You know what's more fun? It's doing what you love to do and getting paid for it as well.
Paid for it, yeah.
That's true. That is true.
Give me that cheddar.
Dan said he subbed. Are you guys over? What were you at when we first started the show?
980 something.
Okay, I'm not sure if we'll get you over then, but we'll get you closer. We'll see what happens. Oh, I love it. Well, folks, thank you so much. This is Casey Kayak Fishing, Con Crystal. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I'm just excited to meet you. And so reach out. If you have not subbed to their channel, please do that. If you're not subbed to my channel, please help me out and do that. But hit that like button, whether you're watching it through Casey's channel or mine. Helps out with some reach afterwards on YouTube. And check back next week on the KFO show at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll have another fun guest for you. So thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for your time. I know you got 4 kids in another room with grandma, which is amazing. So thank you, grandma, for watching the kiddos so we can steal a little bit of your time. But see you guys next week. Have a fantastic week, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Thanks, Darren. We appreciate it.